Okay, so I'm the president of the Rotary Club of Orange Daybreak, and I've got to know Robert Shaw from Parks Rotary Club, and he rang me the beginning of week 2 after the floods and said I might need a hand with some donations.
Yep.
So I said, okay, just let me know. But as it turns out, I ended up coming over for myself just to see what it looked like and what that job looked like. And so so I got here and then we got talking to disaster relief and resilience, and we identified a role that Rotary could take over, the role of sorting donations, the abundance of donations, and taking care of the residents. That's probably the biggest thing that they wanted to do, just to make sure the residents that were homeless or living in caravans on site could stay here and use the community kitchen. So our job, we keep the fresh food rotated and we just make sure there's a good supply of fresh fruit, vegetables, sandwiches. We've been having barbecues up until today. And just sorting the donations, and as people come in, local residents, if they need something from a pair of socks to a bucket to a mop or some clothing, we can point them in the right direction.
That's a huge logistics job.
It has been.
So you live in Orange. Have you ever been involved in any kind of disaster relief?
No, it's been really interesting and a big eye-opener, and I'm really impressed with the logistics of this site, with the local community, the local council, resilience and disaster relief, and now we have a role to play. We're all working together and it is fantastic. Yeah,
it's remarkable. So the volunteer donations, were you overwhelmed with that? How is it managed? What do you do? What's the process?
Well, up until week 2, people were just donating left, right and centre, and there's container loads of excess donations that we've had to get through. So we've kind of taken over from the volunteers that were here before us, and they've divided it up into different sections. So it was pretty easy just as things came in to put it in different areas. So that's been pretty easy.
Yeah. And so someone who's in need, do they present themselves to the showground, or do you do like home visits, or how are you getting the donated goods to the people who need it?
At this stage, people have donated. So we've actually, a week ago, put a hold on anyone turning up with donations just because there was so much. And sadly, the site has reduced here with all the official people moved down the river to obviously Parks and Condobolin. So we've actually been diverting donations down there now because we've got just too many here.
Yeah, because there's what happened here in Eugowra, which has been described as like a tsunami that was produced by rain, and then there's the Lachlan River flooding, which is following the path of the Lachlan, including Forbes and Condobolin and onwards from there, which was partly the dam overflowing. But what happened here has got nothing to do with the dam, has it?
No, the locals are quite annoyed about the media turning that into a dam issue or a political issue, I must say, because it was literally, from what you hear from locals, it was an inland tsunami and just something unheard of before.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you go home to your own bed at night? Where do you stay while you're here?
Every time I've been here and I speak to every volunteer that's played a part here as well, there's the same sentence or the same comment where they drive home and they feel guilty driving home after seeing it in their own eyes. And we're here to listen to the residents as well. I think that's a really important part that we're playing, listening to the locals, and we're just having a chat, but we are listening and hearing the devastation, unfortunately tragedy, but there's some great heroism as well. So it's a real mixture of emotions by the time you sit, luckily we sit in the car and go home and to our family. And I just hope, I say to all my friends, I hope that they never have to go through something like this.
Is there a team from Daybreak Orange that are on rotation?
Yeah, I'm organising volunteers, and it didn't take long to fill the roster. We've had a lot of volunteers, not just from Orange. I dobbed in the Orange clubs and said that we would take on the role. But you need a lot of volunteers ongoing, so it's been awesome. The world of Rotary is amazing. You put the word out, district, and we've had people turn up from Bathurst, Daybreak, Blaney, Eugowra, Parks, Forbes, and Orange, and Eugowra, and even Canberra. We've had volunteers just show up from Canberra. It's been amazing.
Yeah, and when they just turn up, are they given a job to do by you or someone else?
Yes, there's always a job to do. Cole Nader has been at the forefront. He's been amazing. He's been here every single day on the ground. So he's kind of learnt from the volunteers that were here before us and taken on that role of being just the coordinator as people arrive. So it's not just Cole. We look after the donations and what have you, but there's the triage desk that you kind of have to get past to get on site before that as well. If you're, and some of them bring their caravans and they camp on site so they can stay for a good few days to volunteer. And there's always something to do, definitely. But at this stage, we've kind of downscaled our role to hopefully get the residents a little bit more self-sufficient, so keep that food supply, but they can go into a community kitchen. It's really well set up and they can cook for themselves, reheat meals, make a salad themselves. I think that is kind of helpful, getting them back to feeling like them again. But at the same time, it's nice, there's all these people cleaning their houses, so at the end of the day it's nice that they've got that supply of food just ready to heat and eat, so they can just relax and get hopefully a good night's sleep.
Give us an insight into the different groups that are here on site.
Well, when I first got here with Robert from Parks Rotary Club, the president, it was mad here with people. There was so many people everywhere. There was marquees with Resilience, Lifeline, Service New South Wales had a van, disaster relief. There was food trucks and barbecues. You couldn't move around here. There was so many people. So it took a while to kind of work out who was who in the zoo. And again, admirably, there's a guy on site, Sean Haynes, who has a meeting every day with all those different leaders of those teams. So everyone's on the same page and working together. What have we done? Where are we going? What's it going to look like, up until Christmas? So that's what we've been discussing this week.
Okay. Who's he? Is he working for someone? Is he a local person?
He's local, and you'll find a lot of the volunteers, whether they work for the official community groups or the official government groups, they tend to be local. So there's that knowledge of the local people and what's best for the locals. That's all we're here for, is to look after the locals. We don't want to step on any toes. We're using local suppliers wherever we can to supply the food. And then of course you just, have a truckload of food arrive from you don't know where, and it's very generous. But yeah, there's so many people working together. Yeah.
And what can you see Rotary's role being going forward in response to this tsunami that has hit Eugowra?
There's a different team on directly dealing with the houses and the residents from that point of view. Our main focus is simply just to keep that fresh food going, be here, keeping the kitchen going, keeping the donations, and as people need things and we can't find it in our, we've created like a general store as such, and we locate it so that we just reach out and find what locals are needing at this point, rather than just accepting any donations.
Yeah, I know at one stage they're getting a lot of second-hand or even broken goods, and being able to say, no, we only want good stuff, new stuff. Yeah.
Unfortunately, people mean well, but it's you kind of have to think, if you're donating things, would I use that or would I wear that? Will I just wait? There is a lot of money available to residents, either through the government and grants and even through Rotary, where we've got a RAWCS project set up where we can identify local people that really need monies and goods. So we like to use that.
What would be done in that situation if you've identified someone who could really do with a $500 gift? Do you give it as cash, or is it a food voucher, or how does that work?
Again, it's the recipients are people that we are listening to on the ground here. So if you're like this, you're making a cup of tea and you start a chat with a local resident and you find out how bad they are off. So, we can discreetly, steer them in that direction of the grants and the vouchers that are being given out initially with RAWCS, but there'll be bigger projects. It's a big pot of money, so there'll be bigger projects for not just individuals, but for community as well, for the whole community. And not just Eugowra, that project is for all those satellite villages that we don't want to miss out either. There's a lot of work to do, and it might take a while, but we will get out there. And that's the thing with Rotary, as you know, is we like the money to really go direct. We don't want it to put it to a group that it gets absorbed with administration and fees and things like that. You know that it's going to work directly.
It's going to be a long journey, isn't it? Given the scale of the devastation.
For sure, and I hope, and with Rotary in this project, because there is such a big pot of money, I think that will be ongoing. It's not just a 6-week turnaround. We're here for the long haul, and we want to look after the community. Yes, I think it's really important to stick around for, they say 8 weeks, up to 8 weeks. You're still, hearing news stories, and it's still, like, the residents are still in shock, whether they have been affected or they have helped someone. We've got to look after the people looking after the residents as well that have no home. So there's so many areas of concern, and you just want, we're going to be here at least up until Christmas. We've got a few things organised, but definitely we'll call on volunteers to keep going long term. It is we don't want to turn our back.
If people are wanting to engage and come here themselves, I mean, it might be a few weeks after this date that this interview is taking place before they watch this. What's the best way for them to approach Rotary to
I always say just contact your local Rotary club. Most Rotary clubs have a Facebook page that are probably sharing all these great stories that you're doing at the moment, and just ring the secretary or the president of that club and just get in touch. It's Rotary. This is what Rotary does. We help, and we're people of action. It's not about our meetings. Sure, we do all that kind of stuff, but we are people of action, and we like to get in there and do stuff.
Well, we're obviously here in a laundry, if people haven't noticed. So there's all these places people can come and they can wash their clothes. I saw a sign for an ATM. There's food vans. It's a little village out here. Ultimately,
it is the residents' village because they do not have a home. If they have a home, they don't have electricity, although all the services are working on that really, really well. But this has become their home, so we've set up an area where they can, I've seen a couple of dogs and a couple of horses, people are living out here until they can actually get back into their home. Some people won't come back to their home, and some people are just itching to get back to their land or their house. So at least we can make it comfortable and inviting, and just make sure they're healthy and they've got somewhere safe to be. There was a lady today whose goddaughter was living here. Her goddaughter's father passed away through COVID and inherited the house. So living there alone, and obviously she's living in Orange now, but her godmother came racing in and said, I heard that today was the last day that I could apply for a caravan for that independence. So, and, you know, half an hour later I got onto, you know, the guys that are on the ground here, and straight away she got some feedback and it wasn't too late. So they really solved that problem instantly.
Yeah, wow.
The caravan is, you know, a few days away, but it's not too late. And this young lady is intellectually delayed as well. She needs there was a pile of furniture and bits and pieces out the front of her house, and sadly someone's come along and cleaned it up thinking it was,
Oh no.
you know, rubbish. So she's got to start fresh. So it's people like that I'm hoping RAWCS money will be really useful for. There's lots of grants and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, people like that, just, yeah, it's something like that every day. It's really good to be here and listen to it and hear it firsthand.
Well, Michelle, you're an impressive person. It's been great meeting you. All the power in the world to you. And yeah, thanks for what you're doing. You know, I feel like in Sydney we're just so far removed. I'm just speaking personally here, obviously. But to know that Rotary, my Rotary that I'm a part of, is engaged in this kind of way is fantastic. And like you say, we are people of action and we can all do our thing that together makes a huge difference.
Yeah, well, I kind of think that's why I joined Rotary, you know, so that's what you do, like, and so many people do want to help. So it's a great avenue for people to get in touch with their Rotary Club and put your hand up and help. It would be awesome to have more people on the ground, and there's still a lot to do in so many areas along the Central West.